no. Oh no.
Oh, my baby.
No, don't leave
Rocket,
us.
please.
What happened to you?
Oh, Nebula.
Who hurt you?
Oh,
Whose
that's
blood
Rocket.
is that?
That's Rocket's
Lila, my girl.
Oh no! No! Welcome back to New Rockstars! Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 will reveal the origin of Rocket and his scars, but by now we know the High Evolutionary, Herbert Wyndham, had something to do with this, but how exactly did Herbie master artificial intelligence? And if it's not artificial, where did Rocket's soul come from? No! What the f***?
Hey, at the same time we did it!
Hey, thank you! This is Inside Marvel. It's New Rockstars weekly Marvel reaction show. We are live here in the New Rockstars studio. First time the three of us have ever shared a set together.
In the flesh.
In the flesh. I'm Eric Foss with me. It's Jessica Clemens and MT. Welcome to New Rockstars Studios.
I'm so
MT.
excited to be here, everybody. I'm going to be so annoying in real life.
He pinched the hell out of me.
No one saw that.
He pinched me. I didn't even say pinch me, I'm dreaming. He pinched me. Call the police.
No! In today's episode, we're talking about...
He said absolutely not.
We're talking about Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, but in how really there's more to Rocket's history than we really theorized. Do you theorize?
All the time.
I liked it though. I shouldn't have sighed. I liked it. It was good.
10 out of 10.
Well, it's really reference to the Comic-Con trailer, which wasn't the trailer that released wide. That Flaming Lips song, that's not really the song that's on everyone's mind right now, so that was my mistake. One of many mistakes we'll probably make in this episode. But let's start with our question. Where do we think Rocket's soul came from?
The soul?
The soul. Because it's more or less confirmed that Guardians Volume 3, from that trailer, that Herbert Wyndham, the High Evolutionary, is the man behind the curtain, behind the origin of Rocket, right? In Volume 2, Yondu referred to, quote, them scientists, what made you? A nonsense mushmouth phrase. And at Comic-Con, Chukwudi Iwiji, in character and in costume as Herbert Wyndham, talked about, quote, dissecting beings to see what he can learn, wanting to find the perfect being. So yeah, it sounds like he's part of the operation. Maybe he's associated with the Enclave or runs the Enclave, or maybe he just did it by himself with his own group of scientists. But, you know, Rocket is not a raccoon. He is an artificial being. He was something else that was engineered genetically and then cybernetically enhanced thereafter. But the question is, was he born with artificial intelligence or the capacity for artificial intelligence? And what other evolved life forms, or does he have what other evolved life forms have, what we call a soul? Because he has the skull and the brain size of a raccoon.
Right.
Does he have enough brain matter in there to have complex thoughts, feelings, and memories that constitute the soul? I think based off what we've seen so far, yes. But let's consider some possible origins for souls and AI in the MCU. Vision has a soul because he got the soul stone, not the soul stone, the mind stone, excuse me. The mind stone had artificial intelligence that imbued what we consider a soul to be. And then Wanda, using her chaos magic, was able to replicate that. So we have that. We have celestial DNA and celestial light, what kind of gives all of us our souls, we think, in the MCU. But there's also something that we might consider the X gene, a violation, a mutant gene, a violation to the celestial plan for all of us. Do we think that Rocket's soul could have, we're going to find out how exactly he has like complex thoughts, feelings, and emotions and memories?
Yeah, 100%. I think that's why the High Evolutionary is going to be in this movie, because like we know from Guardians 1 when they're sort of like scanning Rocket during the prison, the jail.
Yeah, the
lineup.
Xandar booking sequence.
Yeah. You see like his like they get a scan of his brain, and like you're like, yeah, he was cybernetically and like enhanced. And I feel like we're going to learn that the High Evolutionary took all these lab rats and enhanced their minds and like gave him the ability to feel and to be. And like, it's going to be just a story about the human brain and how it ties into evolution. And we sort of got like a primer for that in Iron Man 3 with Killian. He was like, hey, like the human brain was meant to be upgraded. And I think that, you know, considering that Herbert Wyndham is originally from Earth, I think that Killian was potentially continuing Herbert Wyndham's research from when he was on the planet. And so it's really going to be all about, you know, just how intelligent, how like feelings and emotions are tied to an intelligent brain with a heart in the MCU. But yeah.
Sure. Do you think that when the High Evolutionary was creating them, that he also made a situation where it's like, yeah, they have their own mind, but I also have a more of their mind. Like if they have the left brain, he has the right brain kind of sort of thing. Because I like the idea that it's like, yeah, they evolve their brains, but wouldn't you think they'd evolve their brains to want freedom and to want to be away from this man? But maybe he has something that controls that portion of it.
And maybe that thing is empathy. Maybe what brings Rocket back is like missing Lila or thinking that Lila might still be imprisoned and he needs to free her. I mean, this kind of, I mean, that's a pretty horrifying thought, right? That like, that empathy is a form of shackles on all of us.
Yeah.
That really freedom is a detachment from want or from need. But like our connection to each other is what binds us, and it's kind of a trap in some ways.
I think the more scary part about that is the fact that the High Evolutionary is constantly seeking the perfect being, but he doesn't have what makes the perfect human being. So if he's missing empathy, he's forcing it upon other people and just being like, I don't understand this, and then torturing them.
Yeah, I think thematically, that's exactly what James Gunn's been trying to tell us with everything he has made, is that our imperfections is what is more beautiful about us.
Right.
Perfection is horrifying and ugly and disgusting, and it's not an ideal that we should aspire toward. But really, what's beautiful about us is how we're flawed.
Right.
And I think the idea of Adam Warlock is at the far end of that spectrum of perfection, but it seems like he's, the way Will Poulter has described the character, a newborn, infantile. He doesn't have that kind of complex empathy yet. He's just kind of like more id and reactionary. So maybe that's kind of what freaks them out, is like that toiling toward perfection is really a curse, and really we should just celebrate how we're flawed and broken.
Exactly. I mean, like that was the whole crux of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, where it's like, you could be a god, and like you could be a perfect being, live forever. And then he's like, no, I just want to be human, because like, I don't care about being flawed and being like going to die one day. Like it's worth it, like to have a family and even if it's all fleeting.
Yeah.
Are we also assuming that if Rocket didn't have a soul, the rest of the other advanced like animals that are on that planet also don't have souls?
See, I think Rocket does have a soul, and I think they have a soul too. I was trying to distinguish, because they don't speak like the common language. They have their own language. But they wear clothes. They get mad when a girl gets pegged in the face with a kickball. So I think that they have the same kind of human empathy, the complex thought. They're able to drive cars and like understand what mail is, because there was a postal delivery worker. So I think if we're talking about where souls come from, I think realistically, Herbert Wyndham must have the ability to advance a being's mind in a way that tells us something about what the human mind is. And Impty, you were talking about like the brain, and what did we learn about Ego? Ego was a floating brain. He was a Boltzmann brain in space. We know that Nowhere had a brain in that skull because they were carving out some of that celestial brain and spinal tissue. So I think, while not all advanced beings in the universe were created in the exact image of a celestial body, I guess we're all bipedal in that regard, I think we are all made in the image of celestial brains.
Right.
You guys know in like Westworld how like Anthony Hopkins' character talked about the idea of the bicameral mind, and in Michelangelo's Gift of Man painting, the fresco at the top of the Peter's Basilica, the image of God reaching out to touch Adam, he is floating in the shape of a human brain. And that it was the idea of the brain is a gift from the gods.
Right, exactly.
And so that all celestials designed all bipedal creatures in that same regard. They're not interested in what you look like on the outside as much, but on the inside, we all have that same kind of brain matter, that same bicameral brain that's like two lobes that are fleshed together with an amygdala and whatever else is in the brain.
Exactly.
I don't know where I went just now.
No. Like, I 1000% believe in this. Like, this is something I've been thinking about for a while, because the MCU really is tied around the concept of the human brain and like how it is so special. You see it in Guardians 2. We see it in Iron Man 3. We see it in the fact that, the Mind Stone seems to be the most powerful of the Infinity Stones. It's really all about the brain. But like, since we are talking about the soul, I'm going to blow your minds a little bit with this.
Do it!
Okay, so we know in Guardians 2 that the whole concept of love was how, in the heart, is how Yondu flew his red energy arrow.
Yep.
So like, red energy is love, and your yellow energy is the mind singularity of the mind and all that stuff. So red plus yellow is orange.
Hold on, MT. back up. Where did we learn that like he used love to harness
he said
the
it
Yaka
I
arrow?
remember
Yeah.
it, but he did say it. It was like love and passion makes the arrow fly. I
Yeah,
remember
so-
them saying
yeah,
that.
like-
I love that
Yeah, so he's
so
like,
much.
he was like, oh, I find the arrow with my, and like he gets covered by Ego's rocks, and then like Peter has the flashbacks of his mom, and like,
Oh, right.
and then he has
okay.
the ability to fight Ego. So I think that so the soul is like what is inside, right? And what is inside the human body? The mind and the heart.
Mhm.
Yellow and red, and yellow and red make orange, which is what the soul stone is. And this is what Adam Warlock will eventually, hopefully, end up having by the end of Guardians
And that's
3.
why he's orange.
And so, like, I think that like he's yellow because the Sovereign deal with yellow Mind Stone energy, evolution energy, which is why Rocket, when he first arrived on the planet and he saw those batteries, he was like, I know what these things are. Like, I'm very familiar with these because the High Evolutionary probably used this on me to evolve my brain, like this yellow shit, this Mind Stone singularity shit. And I think that's going to be extremely, extremely important for Guardians 3. And what is going to tie the Sovereign narrative to Rocket and the High Evolutionary is this like the Annulex battery evolution energy.
Harbulary batteries.
Harbor, yes, of course. Harbulary.
MT, I feel like you're Neo in the Matrix, like after he comes back, and rather than just seeing green code, you just see like different Infinity Stone colored
Exactly,
code,
like,
and that's how you distinguish the reality.
Literally, like I only see the MCU through rainbows. It's amazing. Like,
What
I
a
love
way
it.
to look at the world. I feel like the Rolling Stones song, She's a Rainbow, and that's just how you look at everything, just through beauty and magic. And I wish I could see the world you do, the way you do. All right, we actually, before we started rolling, we're changing the whole second half of this show. You guys are in for a treat because like, we realize there's a whole deeper context and questions that need to be answered about the Guardians of the Galaxy trilogy that James Gunn has to do by this third one. So we're going to talk about what's going to be next for Peter Quill and what story is left to tell for this character. First, we want to thank Brooklinen for sponsoring this episode. If you're hosting guests for the holidays and you're starting to panic about it, Brooklinen has you covered. From gifts for your guests to interior refreshes, they're the one-stop shop for stepping up any space. When it comes to gifts that everyone can agree on, Brooklinen is the way to go. Their luxurious home essentials feel as good as they look and offer something for everyone. Brooklinen has literally won awards for their softest sheets that you've ever felt. But they have way more than just bedding. They also have an expanded collection of home fragrance, the coziest robes, and all the bathroom essentials to make an oasis right at home. They have something for everyone on your list. And with Brooklinen Rewards program, it literally pays to stay comfy. With each purchase, you earn points, perks, and insider info on all of Brooklinen's exclusive member events and promotions. On top of all the coziness on the horizon, Brooklinen is offering something extra special for first-time customers. Visit brooklinen.com today and save 15% on your first purchase plus free shipping. That's BROOKLINEN.com for 15% on your first purchase. For 15% on your purchase plus free shipping. Thanks again to Brooklinen for sponsoring this episode of Inside Marvel. Okay. Let's get into this conversation that we had before. We were talking about like the character of Peter Quill.
Right.
It seemed like a big chapter of his story, his life story really ended with Yondu's death and finding out that he didn't need to care about his genealogical ancestry to Ego. Even like listening to Father and Son, it felt like a resolve for the character. But you want to have an emotional drive for every character in a story. Otherwise, they don't need to be in the movie.
Right.
What do we think is really James Gunn's endgame for Peter Quill and Meredith Quill? Is Meredith Quill going to be the behind the secret, the long lost missing Easter egg that James Gunn had in these movies?
I'm stuck on the Meredith Quill part. Sorry. I just keep believing that scene we see, which we've talked about, I think, briefly, that scene that we see of the blood and whatever it is and Peter Quill scream crying is going to be of Meredith. I think he's going to somehow someone is going to make him actually see what the room looked like, the hospital room.
Whoa! So do you think they recreated it, or is this like a memory thing?
I think it's going to be a recreation of it, and
that's
I think
so
it's to
messed
torment
up.
him.
Would be bananas.
Oh my God, that's
So
so messed up.
I was like, I don't think it's Rocket. I don't think it's anyone that we've seen yet. I think it's going to be Meredith.
He's gonna lose his mom again.
Yeah.
And he turned away before she gasped her dying breath, right? He ran out of the hospital.
Yeah.
He didn't have to see her actually
he was there, and then like she died, and then like he screamed at her dead body, and then she
Okay,
sort of
I
ran
can't
away.
remember.
Sorry about that.
It's Meredith Quill's ghost calling you.
He's like, give the phone to Jessica.
He's like, you're lying. I'm
give
alive.
the phone to Jessica right now. Peter Quill's, but your question also is like Peter Quill's full story, how he's going to end.
Yeah, what more story is there to tell? Because I think we're
Exactly.
agreeing that without Gamora, other than the search for Gamora, there has to be more to like Peter Quill, especially that they introduced Mantis as his half-sibling. I feel like his bloodline is still important in ways we don't know yet.
That's what, when you were like, I think this is for Mantis to step up and take the title.
Yeah.
I think that is maybe like how this is going to be fully rounded for Peter, because it is like, yeah, the first 2 movies were about him. Were definitely about him. And then we get the holiday special and we're kind of like, I'm getting more from everyone else. Every single other character but him. And it's like, yeah, he doesn't really have Gamora, and that storyline's kind of gone, and then his family situation's kind of gone, but we have Mantis now. That is a new part of his family. So I'm like, okay, maybe we're going to start shifting this towards Mantis. So maybe?
Yeah, I feel like we're, by the end of Guardians 3, there was a huge chance that Mantis could take the mantle of Star-Lord. Because I think that the reason why Peter is called Star-Lord is because his dad is a celestial star being. Like, so he is the inheritor of the star mantle. So like if Mantis also is a star being, she can now carry that mantle. And I think that throughout this whole trilogy, James Gunn has sort of been preparing Peter Quill to be a parent, like his mother, like sort of just like replace that role, fill that void in his life by becoming like a loving parent figure like his mother was.
For Mantis? So like where Thor is for everyone that has a child, he now has Mantis.
Basically. Well, like,
Mantis is older than he is.
Yeah,
Or
right.
at least emotionally more complex than he is.
I honestly do think that this movie is going to end with Peter Quill leading that colony of refugees as a leader, like he was in the comics. He led a planet for a little while. And,
okay.
And Mantis
I
is going to
like
be
that.
the guard, because we hear in the trailer like the universe still needs its guardians, and I think that that's sort of at the end where like he's like, all right, well I'm retired, universe still needs its guardians, so here's my mask, Mantis. You could lead a team of hopefully all female guardians, because that'd be dope. I want Lila, Mantis, Gamora, Nebula, Cosmo, Space Dog.
Cosmo.
Like it's gonna be
Cosmo
like,
replaces Rocket.
awesome.
Do you are you saying that Star-Lord will stay on Nowhere and then the rest of them will probably like, we're gonna go find more adventure?
Exactly. I think that like the MCU, because this is like a universe full of actors, and actors have other like commitments and responsibilities. The MCU needs a way to put some actors in stasis. Until Secret Wars, or until like they need to bring everybody back again.
Like Sebastian Stan on ice.
Exactly. It's like, all right, you're on
Wakanda.
ice. And I think that Peter Quill's just going to be like, all right, I'm going to sit here with like maybe Gamora, or like just be by myself and like just chill for a while, because I've just been nonstop like being a pirate since I was a youth, and like now I'm just doing action. I just need to slow down and just like have a family of people that rely on me to protect them.
I like that.
And so I think that'd be a nice end for Peter Quill for a little while, until Secret Wars, until everybody picks up the guns and shoots each other.
See, yeah, I think
like that.
I think I like that idea too. That kind of emotional arc for Peter Quill. That is kind of the natural course of someone's growth as a human being, I would say. Not to say everyone has to be a parent, but I think Peter Quill obviously had that connection to his parents that he hasn't really fully gotten over.
Right.
I wonder if there's like something here with like, I don't know. I keep obsessing over the fact that Herbert Wyndham, the High Evolutionary, could represent what the introduction of mutant kind that Kang represented,
100%.
the introduction of the multiverse and dual timelines. Like maybe what we've seen in the MCU, the reason we haven't seen so many mutants so far is that there's been someone out there like Herbert Wyndham and his network of people, maybe some kind of deal with the Celestials to restrain the expression of the mutant gene that he has been going through in his pursuit of perfection. He has been identifying mutants and just like deactivating the mutant gene in people. And that's been preventing their natural growth from coming about. So he's been going person by person and just basically saying, no, denying their mutant kind through like genetic breeding and all of these other experiments. So that's going to be the mission. There's like more of an assassin mission for Peter Quill to take that out. Like, I wonder if Meredith Quill was a mutant. And that's why Ego gave, like, by giving her that tumor, that kind of denied her from being like a badass mutant that she could have been. Peter Quill learns this and he's like, so how many other mutants have you stamped out of existence? Screw that. Let's allow mutants to exist in this universe. So he goes and takes out the High Evolutionary, and now mutants can truly flood
That would
the
be
universe.
bananas. I would really like love to see like something like that, where like the High Evolutionary is either messing with humanity to stop mutation or to advance mutation. I personally think it's the latter, because like he's all about evolution, but like it would be crazy if like he was just so obsessed with like, I want to be the one to figure it out. So like, it's gotta be me. I don't care about the celestial plan. It's gonna be my plan and my plan for the universe. And the humans aren't ready because I want to be the smartest human and the coolest human.
Yeah, I would have wondered. I think the high evolutionary Herbert Wyndham would be like disgusted with the mutant gene because it's chaotic. It's in his mind, it's contrary to how you breed the perfect species or the perfect being, because you can't control the mutant gene. It's just going to take its own course.
Right.
So I would imagine him wanting to like deny the mutant gene from being expressed. But like if you think again, James Gunn, like this is why I think he wanted Herbert Wyndham to be the villain of this movie. Is James Gunn is obsessed with the idea of we should embrace our flaws, we should embrace our brokenness and our imperfections. So I think that's going to be the triumph of this movie, is by embracing the ultimate flaw or imperfection. And what is that in the Marvel world if not mutation?
Right.
I
like that. I like that a lot.
I love it. I just love it with having a team and having a character like Nebula. It's like imperfection is perfect.
Right.
And she's like,
Exactly.
Absolutely.
That's literally the whole crux of the Guardians team. It's like everybody is flawed and like they come from like really harsh backgrounds, but together they can save the universe. And
Right.
It's freaking dope.
And create something sublime and beautiful, and something that we need more than anything, I think.
Exactly.
All right, we'll leave it there for this episode of Inside Marvel. This is a really lovely conversation.
Yes,
the fact
this
that
was
we could do
amazing.
this in person,
Yeah.
we've reached so many different layers of thought and feelings, and I feel like I need to just kind of lie down and process all this. Right?
You know, now we're in person. Let's do like a weird, awkward side group hug. Hooray! We've done
Cover
it.
hands.
Yes.
I'm already grabbing this hand. Look at my boys.
Yes.
Look at my boys. My boys.
My boys.
Be sure to follow MT at Mastertainment. Follow Jessica at Lulu_Clemens. You can follow me at EA Voss. Be sure to subscribe to Inside Marvel wherever you get your podcasts. Follow us here on New Rockstars here on YouTube. Thank you all for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.
Love you guys.
Bye.